Friends, good to see you.
Hey,
We're sort of on the fly here. We have figured out the technology stuff from last week. There was an issue, but now my kid just got home from junior lifeguard, so the noise you hear is him getting changed and throwing things. And anyway, hopefully you'll see us. Hi, I think we should be here now.
hooray.
Hello to Michael and Benjamin and Keith and It Can Be. You are all here early, which is wonderful. Good to see you. We'll let some other folks come and join us here. But happy Friday to you in the middle of summer. Hope it's a beautiful day wherever you are and you're enjoying the beach or not. Hey, Ethan. Hi, Jesse. Always a pleasure to see you. And Marilyn, happy Friday to you. There's so much to talk about today. There really,
Yeah.
really is a lot. We will, of course, talk about Donald Sutherland
Mm.
for a while. I think we could do a solid half an hour
Oh,
just on
easy.
Donald Sutherland. But
Easy.
we want to give folks a chance to show up and get settled and all of that. Mike Webb says, hello, just popping in briefly before I head out to see the bike riders. Jeff
Ah.
Nichols is one of my favorite filmmakers working today. We will have a review for you of the bike riders later on this afternoon. So Teddy's here. Hello. Angel is here. Christine from Toronto. I'm sorry that it's hot in Toronto.
Ah.
Um, and Warren and Sar of Newark and Marty, also in Canada. And your fellow Canadian, Donald Sutherland, a great
Yes.
legendary force. And also a whole lot of like production news and sequel news, some truly insane sequel and spinoff news coming up. So good to see you both. Yes, Sar of Newark says I froze. I think
Y-
Alonzo froze.
you froze on me, but it could go either way. Who knows?
Yes. Hope we are all good. Hot in Missouri, says Jesse. Great. So, yes, Donald Sutherland died yesterday, age 88. And
Yep.
thinking about like favorite performances, you could just be here all day.
Yeah, for sure. This is a guy who had sort of eras of his career, I mean, going all the way back to like the Dirty Dozen, um, and really becoming his first wave of stardom was with films like Clute and MASH and Don't Look Now. Um, which he then followed with like a couple of John Landis movies. He pops up in Kentucky Fried Movie in the That's Armageddon trailer as the clumsy waiter, and then he's in Animal House, and then becomes, sort of segues into this sort of like still movie star, but definitely going more into like character roles, films like Eye of the Needle, Ordinary People. And yeah, just like never not working and never not killing it, even in a movie like JFK, where he is just there to be the exposition dump. That is the exposition dump that all exposition dumps aspire to be. He is such a cool customer and so riveting in that scene with Kevin Costner on the park bench. And then I'm sure for a lot of younger viewers, like, oh yes, President Snow from the Hunger
Yes.
Games, and so yeah, he had a really amazing career, and let's not forget, like, he was also very committed activist. Like he and Jane Fonda were a couple for a while, I want to say, but like they did the FTA show, which meant free the army or fuck the army, depending on who you asked, to sort of as outreach to GIs who were maybe headed to Vietnam, sort of like letting them know about their sort of rights and things they could ask for, or, ways they might be able to sort of, you know, protest the war effort from within, which was captured on film. That's actually when I was thinking about Sutherland movies I need to see. The FTA show is one of them. I've also never seen Day of the Locust, which people really like.
I
And
have not
is
either. I've also
yeah,
not seen MASH. I'm embarrassed to
that's,
say.
I mean, look, I haven't seen Don't Look Now. We all have our gaps, so in fact, on our Patreon for July, we've decided to do as our off the menu selection a one of many Donald Sutherland films. We'll offer up like 5 or 6. And so yeah, if you aren't already a member, now would be a great time to join. Patreon.com/BeFastAllDay. We just did our Roger Corman tribute and reviewed Mask of the Red Death, which we both had never seen before.
That was fun, yes. And I don't envy you having to try to whittle it down to 5 or 6
Yeah.
great Donald Sutherland performances. And you mentioned Animal House. Like he brings so much to just that small role. And it's a
Mhm.
totally different kind of character from everybody else in the film, but he doesn't make it seem out of place or jarring. He makes the professor feel like a real guy, like a real complex guy when they're just a brief period of time on screen.
He's the one
So
adult who's not an asshole in that movie.
yeah, a great example of what he was so good at. Our friend, I gotta get to our friend Chris Crawford of the channel
Ah.
My OY for all of your Seattle Mariners needs. Thanks so much for your kind contribution, Chris.
Oh, thank you,
He
sir.
says, watched Space Cowboys last night for Sutherland. Still holds
Oh,
up.
yeah.
Thanks for
I
everything
forgot
you
about
guys
that one.
do. So I
Yeah.
actually interviewed him for the Space Cowboys junket. So
Really?
I was 28 years old. I was at the Fox station in Dallas, and they had a junket for Space Cowboys. It's the year 2000. It was down at it's Johnson Space Center in Houston,
Mm.
right? It's
I
Johnson,
I
yeah.
believe so, yeah.
And so they had like Clint Eastwood and James Garner and Tommy Lee Jones. This is where I also interviewed Tommy Lee Jones
Ooh,
and Donald Sutherland.
condolences.
Yes, and Marcia Gay Harden, who was a sweetheart,
Oh,
another
she's great.
fellow good Texan. But Donald Sutherland was nice as can be. Like this is the first time I had ever done this kind of thing, and I
Oh,
was kind of
wow.
nervous, and I was young, and he was just like so polite and so warm, and made it so easy. They paired him and James Garner together, and that was really fun.
Nice.
I have a good memory of that movie too, Chris. You know as well. Jesse says John Landis cites Sutherland as the reason Animal House got funded.
Oh, interesting. Like he was the name, I guess. Yeah.
Right. And Real Dreamer says, I rewatched Ordinary People because I'm a
Mm.
masochist last night in his honor. And we did Ordinary People as off the menu a few months back. Actually, I think it was a year ago, Mother's Day, right?
Yes, we did like we did a Bad Mothers selection, and that was the one people voted for.
Yes, and Aki mentioned Mr. Bennett. That's one of my favorites from him. Is his
Yes,
Mr.
yes,
Bennett and the Joe Wright Pride and Prejudice. He's excellent in that, and again, like brings such complexity and subtlety and humanity. Like even when he's playing a villain like Snow in the Hunger
mm,
Games movies, like it's a really interesting, complex villain who feels like a full human being. So
for sure. Yeah, yeah. No, he was, just one of those authoritative voices. Like you would hear him narrate even like a TV commercial, and you would just be like, "Oh, I know that voice," and had so many, as we like to say, colors in his paint box in terms of you know uh, intensity, but also comedy, and also all kinds of different roles, and of course father to Kiefer.
yes, I guess it was a very touching tribute from Kiefer to his father
Um,
yesterday. Hey, Katie Robinson, good to see you. Glad you're here. Hey, Jeffrey, glad you're here. Yes, so a huge career, a huge life, a good Canadian. So we will be looking forward to paying tribute to him on our Patreon very, very soon. David LeMan, thank you so much. Wow, very kind of you. We always
Thank you.
appreciate you here. Says, hey, Christy, I rewatched Ordinary People last night and it holds up. It's sad that he never received recognition and never had an Oscar nomination. One of his most underrated and best performances is a movie Without Limits. I can't remember that one.
Oh, that's one of the Prefontaine movies, isn't it?
Oh, that makes sense.
The
Okay.
one
That's
with Billy
interesting.
Crudup, I want to
Oh,
say.
okay.
Yeah. Well, look, it just goes to show you that there are people you can't believe won an Academy Award, and there are people you can't believe never got nominated for an Academy Award, which tells you all you need to know about the Academy Awards.
It's wild when you look at just the filmography and the variety there. So
Yeah,
R.I.P. to a legend. That's definitely a word that applies here
for
with
sure.
Donald Sutherland. We talked about Brats last week. A lot of folks seem very interested in Brats. We're getting lots of response to our review. It has caused a whole reinvigoration of all of those movies back then. If you go to like any streaming service that has those movies, they will have them for you right there on that main page. It's very smart. I just rewatched St. Elmo's Fire this past week, and it's like the first thing you see when you go to Roku.
Yeah,
So
Hulu is, who's carrying the Brat stock is also really, they did a, Linda Holmes from NPR had a very funny Blue Sky thread about it. They claim to have all 9 Brat Pack movies. And it's like, I'm sorry, all 9, like, according to whom? But like 9 movies that they have that happen to feature one or other of these actors, but also like some ringers. Like, are we counting Ferris Bueller? I don't know. But yeah, it's definitely a big part of conversation. So much so that Sony, who released St. Elmo's Fire, is now contemplating the possibility of a sequel if they can get the old gang back together.
yes, I mean, it seems like they would do it. I think they're all probably savvy enough to realize the need to strike when the iron is hot.
Yeah, sure. And it's not, and I think for some of them, look, like Emilio Estevez obviously is going to have a different take on this than Judd Nelson does, than Mayor Winningham does. But yeah, I'd say none of them are necessarily in a position right now to say no to a plum opportunity, especially if the money is right. And I think that this is the kind of ensemble piece where it's like, yeah, what are they like 40
Yeah.
years later? What is going on with those crazy kids?
Yeah, no, that is interesting to me for sure. Yeah, and they don't even mention the name Mayor Winningham in the
Nope.
Bratz doc. And so where is she? What is she doing?
I mean, she
Yes,
works. She's busy. She just married Anthony Edwards a couple years ago,
yes,
actually.
yes, yes. I forgot about that. That was like, whoa, where did that come from?
Yeah.
Teddy asks, what were you planning to do for Off the Menu before Sutherland died? You seemed excited about it. It was
Oh,
going to be Brat Pack movies.
yeah.
It was going to be a whole bunch of them. We are definitely going to review St. Elmo's Fire. We're going to come
Yes.
back
Right
and
here
do that.
on
But it
YouTube.
was going to be other ones that are not 16 Candles or Breakfast Club is what we were
Yeah.
thinking about.
We were gonna dig deep and talk about, like, throw out some options like, from the hip or made to order. But no, we're gonna do Sutherland now, but we're gonna do St. Elmo's Fire here for everybody on YouTube. That's gonna be a lot of fun.
We have various folks mentioning Anouk Ami, who I'm guessing you will want to talk
Yes.
about.
Thank
David
you.
N mentioned that, and also David N says, Alonzo, the book is magnificent.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I
Congratulations.
appreciate that. Yeah, Anouk May, a major player in international cinema. She probably most famous for having been in the film A Man and a Woman, which people don't talk about as much now, at least in this country, but like was a huge international hit in the late 60s from Claude Lelouch. That theme song you could not escape. La 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 la. And that film won the Palme d'Or. I was surprised to learn, and the Oscar for best for these called best foreign film, but also worked with Fellini. She's Mastroianni's wife in 8.5. She's the lead female, one of the female leads in La Dolce Vita. Part of the ensemble of a film that I love that people hate, which is Robert Altman's Pret-a-Porter. But yeah,
Oh,
like a really rich and varied career, and was an icon of French cinema. Was married to Albert Finney. I didn't know this until I read
oh.
it in her obit. Um, but yeah, she just passed at the age of 92, and was one of the greats.
Yes. Jesse says he's not been able to get St. Elmo's Fire out of his head. I am right there
Me
with you.
too. And I haven't watched the movie again yet, and it's
It
that
is
song won't leave me alone.
catchy as hell. Let's stay in the 80s for a sec because apparently there's going to be a Time Bandits series on
Yes.
Apple TV Plus, which we will do recaps of on our Patreon that begins on July 24th. And we will also rewatch Time Bandits
Yeah.
and review that for you when that comes out. I just remember, and this is so funny because I was going to do it anyway at some point as a was a great or were you eight movie. I remember that Time Bandit scared the shit out of me when I was a little kid. Like the
Mm.
idea of a portal in your closet where like it takes you to all kinds of dangerous stuff. People come barreling through it at all hours. Like that was very scary to me.
Well, the parents die at the end of that movie, don't they? And it's treated as a joke. If I recall correctly, it's been a while since I've watched it. I somehow missed Time Bandits the first time around, but I screened it in Dallas one year when we did a tribute to the late great Terry Jones of Monty Python, who I believe co-wrote the film and is in it, and then like Terry Gilliam directed it. But yeah, I have fond memories of that movie, and I'm curious to see what Waititi does with it, and if he's able to sort of bring his own brand of like Hunt for the Wilder People humor to it
Yeah.
in the way that Jones and Gilliam gave it an air of Python.
Yeah, because that Time Bandit seems so very Terry Gilliam, like just
Mhm.
in the effects and just the tone of it. And so Taika Waititi has a very different tone. So I would
Yeah.
be curious to know about that as well. Javier, you're asking a question about a thing that I was going to get to eventually, but let's do it now. He says, "Hi, Christy. How was the director's cut of Midsommar?"
Aha, yes.
I think I have traumatized my son for life.
Had he
That
not
was
seen it before?
Oh no. Oh no. And I forgot
Ooh.
all about the sex, the mating ritual. I forgot all about that. all the women, the naked women chanting and like
Yeah.
forcing him into her. And I forgot about all
It's
that.
not just
Um,
giant hammers.
it's oh no, it's the sledgehammers. Yeah. So it is about 24 minutes longer. Have you seen the director's
Wow.
cut yet,
I
Alonzo?
haven't, so I want to hear all about it.
Yes. So it in the front end of it, it fleshes out what that relationship is like between Florence Pugh and Jack Rayner and
Mm.
sort of lays the groundwork a little more for how toxic it is, how much he gaslights her. The gaslighting is really what stuck out to me more this time. Just how much no one will listen to her. They're all trying to smooth it over. That, and I don't know that I caught this the first time. I didn't get a chance to go back and rewatch our review, but like it's so obvious to me this time that they make her the May Queen to distract him to go and impregnate the local girl, Maya, the girl who has chosen him, because they need to get new blood into the village. So
Oh.
I didn't notice that quite so much that like clearly she has been chosen, right?
Mm.
Like you don't win May Queen on your first time.
They just hand that out.
Right? You got to spin, you got to twirl. I loved it. I was totally mesmerized. It is 2 hours and 51 minutes long and it just breezed by. I was blown away all over again by the transitions. Like that one, I was looking forward to it where Danny walks, it's an overhead shot of Danny walking into the bathroom and closing the door, and then it becomes the bathroom in the airplane.
Yes.
Like it's so beautiful. And then just so much of the camera work, long takes, and even like not showy long takes, like multiple conversations being encompassed within the scope of one long single shot. So I thought it was great all over again, but it is extremely disturbing. Nick was like, "Why did you take me to this?" I'm like, "Because it's a fucking masterpiece of art house cinema, and it is like one of the quintessential A24 movies. And when you talk about elevated horror, this is what we're talking about." And I said to
Yeah.
him, "Someday you will thank me for taking you to this." He said, "I know I will, but not today."
How is the IMAX?
It is not really IMAX, it's one of the faux maxes. It's more of like the size of, I think, the AMC Century City. I saw it at the AMC in
okay.
Torrance. So it's not really IMAX, but it's bigger. They put it in a theater that has the word IMAX above the door, but
Sure.
it's not really.
But one could have seen it in a legit IMAX somewhere, probably. Like I'm sure,
Oh yeah.
like but that just wasn't your experience. I
A
got you.
real theater, yeah. No, I was able to appreciate so much of the camera work and so much of the detail in like the flowers, the flowers on her head that are like opening and closing, and like the undulating food on the table, and the waviness and the hills behind her. So
Have you seen the flower dress at the Academy Museum yet?
oh no, I've not.
It's on display.
Yes, for sure. Oh, It Can Be says Antichrist left me speechless. Antichrist is the last movie I saw before I had my baby. And Alonzo
You
and I
were
saw it together.
so pregnant. I thought, oh God, please don't let her give birth during Antichrist. That can't be a
Yes.
good omen at all.
No, chaos would indeed reign if I gave birth in that. So thank you for asking. I'm really, really glad that I saw it, and I'm glad that he saw it, even if he is not.
Yeah.
So other weird things from the 80s I was going to tell you about. There's going to be a Spaceballs sequel. Do you know about this, Alonzo?
I saw it in your email, and it was the first I'd heard about it. Was Mel Brooks involved in any way?
Mel Brooks is involved in it, and Josh Gad is going to star. I think it's in development. It's in the works.
Okay.
Yes,
I mean,
I'm not sure we need that. Also, but I'm curious though, when we talk about what could or could not get made today, right? Like comedies from our youth, comedies from the 80s, could Spaceballs get made today? I wonder how that looks different now, 40 years later.
well, I will say this, that a Spaceballs remake, sequel, whatever it winds up being, has like the sequels and chapters 7 through 9 and the TV shows to play with. We now have Baby Yoda, so we'll have, I guess, Baby Yogurt in this movie. And I was not a child when Spaceballs came out, so I don't hold it to my bosom the way I do like Young Frankenstein or Blazing Saddles. So I'm sure, why not? I guess. But generally speaking, while sometimes remake sequels wind up being a cool thing, news of them never like gets me immediately excited.
Yeah, I'm not either. Marilyn, I've been remiss in not acknowledging you because babbling about Midsommar. Thank you so much for your kind contribution. We
Thank
appreciate
you.
you. We're glad to see you here. Marilyn says, so excited to go see 2 or 3 films this weekend. Ghostlight, Thelma, or Treasure. Glad my local AMC is getting more of these smaller films back into the theater like pre-COVID. I saw Ezra and Tuesday. Yes, we have a
Nice.
review of Thelma this week and we both loved it.
Yes. And I haven't seen Ghostlight yet, but everybody I know who's seen it has said rave things. So I'm going to try and work it in. But it's been a busy couple of weeks.
Yes, Alonzo, do you want to mention while we are on this topic what's going on
Sure.
with you?
Absolutely. So yeah, y'all, as you know, my new book Hollywood Pride is out, and um what I've discovered is no matter how much you try and pre-plan this sort of stuff, when actual Pride Month happens, suddenly people realize, oh wait, we should talk about Pride. So I'm thrilled that people want to talk about it, but my schedule's been bananas. So here's what's coming up. Tonight, Friday, June 21st, do you still have Turner Classic Movies? Are you not a cord cutter? Then please tune in at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. I will be on with Dave Karger, and we are introducing Sylvia Scarlett and the documentary Gay USA, and then more cool queer titles showing into the night, including The Bitter Tears of Petra von Kant and the documentary The Queen, among others. Saturday, June 22nd, are you in the Southern California, Orange County area? Come to the historic Frida Cinema, where I will be screening a 70th anniversary presentation of Johnny Guitar and also signing and selling books courtesy of the folks at Arvida Bookstore. Next Tuesday, the 25th, are you in Los Angeles? Come to the Egyptian Theater, where I will be screening All About Eve and signing books provided by Larry Edmonds Bookshop. And who will be introducing All About Eve for me? A guy named Ben Mankiewicz. Maybe you've heard of him, the grandnephew of the film's writer director, and of course, our dear old friend. Next Wednesday in the afternoon, are you going to be in Burbank? Hey, come by the Warner Brothers studio. I will be signing books at the studio store. You can get in without having bought a ticket for the tour. It's a great way. If you've always wanted to see the Warner lot and didn't want to like pay for the tour, there's free parking. You can walk right on. Come to the studio store. I'll be signing copies of the book. Thursday, the 27th in Los Angeles, I will be moderating a Q&A with the legendary Greg Araki after a screening of The Living End at the Academy Museum. It is part of the Academy Museum's current series dedicated to the new queer cinema. Next Friday, the 28th, I'm on TCM again at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific with Dave Karger. And we'll be introducing the Women in Prison classic Caged and Wong Kar-wai's Happy Together, and then more queer films as the night continues, including the TCM premiere of Brokeback Mountain. And then next Saturday, the 29th, I'll be at the Academy Museum with our dear friend Justin Simeon doing a book talk about Hollywood Pride and then signing copies of the book. So please join me for something, won't you?
Wonderful. Thank you for that rundown. If you missed any or all of that, if you weren't taking notes fast enough,
hit the rewind button.
I will have all of this in the community tab
Yes.
after we wrap up. A bunch of this already is in the community tab of our YouTube main channel thingy, but I will update it with all.
Either she's frozen or I am.
Yesterday talking about he's on the radio that I am often on.
Yes, yes. And also on the 26th, which is next Wednesday, I will be on KCRW Press Play. I did an interview with Madeline Brand that's going to post then.
Good, great. Thank you for all of that, and good luck with all your many appearances. And I'm glad that folks will get to meet you and hear about all your great. We have a lot of folks in the comments talking about how much they have enjoyed your book.
Oh, thank you guys. I appreciate
somebody
it.
with the name Gaylord of the Rings, very cute, says, "Did you guys see Maxine at the Vista?" No, I did not. I did not know they were showing Maxine at the Vista. I know they were showing X with some bits of Maxine.
Well, if they screened it, we were not invited. We're not cool enough for the Vista. So we are going to see it. We are going to talk about it. We just don't know when yet.
Yeah, I think we're seeing it on July 1st, which I'm very excited about. Someone else asked about my knee. My knee is getting better. I went to physical therapy this morning. I'm trying to walk around without the brace, but I cannot drive. So hopefully by July 1st, I can drive. Hi, Matthew Parsnipberger. Okay, so thank you for all of that. Alonzo, more crazy stuff to talk about. There's in production. There's going to be a spinoff of Megan, otherwise known as Threegan.
Sure, why not?
This one's called Soulmate, but instead of an A, it's the number 8. And she is like a love android. What could go wrong?
Exactly. But you know what? I think if you are trying to expand the Megan universe, that's a cool way to do it.
Yes, soulmate. So the new MCU, the Megan cinematic universe, that is great. Kip Moore says you are booked as an NYC drag queen during Pride. Are you?
I mean, yeah, I get it. We got the calendar fills up. It's crazy.
That is great. I'm excited for Maxine too, James. It looks really, really good. Okay, so that is happening. And then we talked about Megalopolis here when
Yes.
Cannes was going on. Lionsgate has picked it up. We knew somebody
Yes.
would.
Yes. They are not, however, paying for advertising. So
Oh,
so Coppola is going to have to shell out like another 15 mil or something for the actual marketing and advertising of the film. Like Lionsgate is handling, I guess, the whatever the theatrical logistics are, including the IMAX release. I know this because we talked about it on Max Film. Andrea called it. She was like, "I bet you they are picking up theatrical rights, but they are not going to pay for." Here's what it said. Lionsgate, it appears, will not be paying for marketing. Instead, Coppola is expected to provide the spend. I love when we turn verbs into nouns. Himself, Lionsgate intends to put the feature on more than 1,500 screens, which sources in the distribution world would say would require around 15 to 20 million in marketing.
better start selling some wine.
Boy howdy, and that's gonna include a lot of IMAX screens. Like he's really hell bent for IMAX on this baby, and it's coming out in September, which I don't know.
Mhm.
Maybe I'm paranoid about this sort of thing, but don't you think of September as like so early in the award season? It's where they kind of chuck the movies that they don't think are going to get traction, and then the big stuff really starts opening October, November. Am I wrong in thinking this?
Yeah, I also think that September is a dumping ground time between the end of summer, even mid-August is dumping ground time. Like
Oh
and
yeah, but the summer ends at some point. But yeah, it's like September to me feels like the January of fall.
yes, and people are gearing up mentally to go to Toronto to, maybe they've been to Telluride or whatever it is. Like stuff's going on at that point. I agree with
Yeah,
you. Teddy, thank you so much for your kind donation. Teddy says, do either
thank
of
you.
you have takes on all the podcasts/video essays lately about the death of movie theaters? I don't think I've seen any of those.
I
We
mean,
have takes on that topic.
yeah, I know it's been bopping around, and I think probably after like Fall Guy and Furiosa didn't like burn the thing down, it was like, oh no, theatrical is dead. And now that people are going to see like Bad Boys and Inside Out, it's like, oh yay, theatrical's back. It's like we have to look at a big picture here. It's about sort of year to year, and it's about I think we're still scrambling to kind of get footing back after we were talking about this earlier, like between COVID and the strikes, like the pipeline got crimped,
Yeah.
and yeah, I think it's going to be a slow rebuild. But then a movie like Inside Out 2 comes out that people are really excited about and really excited to see right away, and to see projected, and to see as a group, and not they aren't thinking, oh, I'm going to wait for streaming. And you get these like record weekends, and I think theatrical can still do that. And I think that, yes, in the larger picture, are we going to see studios putting not all of their eggs into one big superhero basket? I hope so. I hope that the idea that like a movie like Bottoms or Thelma can do like good numbers in smaller releases will, be something that that theaters find attractive and worthwhile. But yeah, I think it is still premature to say that theatrical is dead. It is shifting, it is adjusting to the current state of streaming. But I think even the current state of streaming in a lot of ways looks very not something that you can maintain. So who's to say?
Yes, and like anecdotally, last night when I saw Midsummer in IMAX,
Hmm.
like we had a really good crowd in Torrance. You know? So
Yeah.
not like at the Grove or a place where it is a hub of art house cinema. So I was impressed by that. And then also when I saw the TV Glow with Nick and Chris, like at 3:30 in the afternoon on a Saturday at the Grove, we had a really good audience. So I'm hopeful.
And I think we're also seeing like I just read that sometime in July Disney is doing a 30th anniversary reissue of The Lion King, and so I think that, after years of abandoning it in the face of VHS and cable, studios are discovering, oh, this thing that we have sitting around that isn't going to cost us much to like spruce up and put back into theaters will actually
Yeah.
put butts in seats. And so I'm all for that. Like, yes, more repertory, please. And
Yeah.
I think A24 has been very shrewd about that this summer with like these one night IMAX events, which I think, obviously if they're drawing them in torrents, I'm sure have been doing well for them. And so, like, yeah, it would be, look, if Paramount was like, hey, we're going to do a 50th anniversary reissue of Chinatown, I'd go see that again on the big screen. It was, gorgeous. And they just put out like a new 4K in a box set with the two Jakes. I'm not sure who was dying for that one, but if you're gonna do it, go all the way. But yeah, I think I would love to see more repertory, more mid-budget movies, like different strategies involved in getting people to come out to theaters. And I think by necessity, we're going to see them figure out what that is.
I think Deadpool and Wolverine is going to do really well.
Absolutely.
Yes, but that's also a really hard R. So you can't bring the whole family to that like you can for Inside Out, which massively surpassed even high expectations. Right.
Yeah,
So,
well, maybe if Disney was smart, they would work out a thing where they put Inside Out 2 in the theater next to Deadpool, and you sell tickets and then let the kids sneak in. I don't know.
Right, you go here and you go here.
That's how I saw Monty Python's Meaning of Life. I bought a ticket to The Outsiders and just wandered into the other theater.
That's really funny. David, thank you so much for being here and for your kind contribution. David Ebekemi says, St. Elmo's Fire remake, who would cast as this generation's Brat Pack? Well, you got to have Zendaya and Timmy in there somewhere, right?
Ooh,
Florence
yeah,
Pugh has to be in
oh,
there.
Yeah. Mm.
Is Zendaya the Demi Moore, or who is it? Or is Florence Pugh?
Does Florence Pugh become the Mayor Winningham? Does anybody want to be the Mayor Winningham? I don't know. I mean, not that Mayor Winningham is great. I mean, that character is kind of a drip compared to the other ones.
To her.
I mean, yeah, we're talking at the moment. What they're talking about is a St. Elmo's Fire remake where they bring back all the original actors, which I think would be really cool. A remake of it. Oh, wow, that's an interesting question. Josh O'Connor. Mike Feist.
Mike Feist is in the Bike Riders. They need to have more Mike Feist in the Bike Riders.
But so is Aaron Butler, and who could also be in a St. Elmo's Fire remake.
Yes, Austin Butler. Yes,
Austin Butler. Sorry,
Yash Srivastra. I'm so sorry if I'm saying your name wrong. Anya Taylor-Joy. We get a vote for Anya Taylor-Joy.
Yes. Yep.
That's good. We get a vote for Catherine Newton, Millie Bobby Brown, Sydney Sweeney. This is a fun game.
There is no shortage of exciting 20-somethings.
This is a really fun game. Yeah, I like this. Aquafina. Was she too old? They have to be in their 20s, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yes. Anyway, this is a fun game. We'll keep playing this.
Elliot Page.
That is interesting, right? There should be a queer character, right? It can't just all be white people. There can't be all white people, all white straight people.
No, for sure.
Interesting. Okay, cool. Jonathan says, hello, Christy and Alonzo. Long time no see during live. Hope you're healing up well, Christy. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I am. We should wrap up soon. I want to get one more quick little thing in here, and that is they announced an Everybody Hates Chris animated series. It's going to be called Everybody Still Hates Chris. It's going to be on Comedy Central, and it will reunite all the original cast.
And is Chris still a child? Or is it
Chris Rock narrated it, right?
Right, but I mean the character Chris, who was originally played by the guy who's now in Abbott Elementary, whose name is flying out of my head. I'm wondering, like, is he going to be doing a kid voice? Is he going to be playing adult Chris? And if so, why wouldn't Chris Rock just be adult Chris? I don't know. So many questions.
That's a good question. We'll anyway, so that is coming out too. But we have more people chiming in on the St. Elmo's Fire remake. Roger says Wes Anderson should direct it. No, it's got to be some A24 darling, right? Like Dave
Maya
Evans.
Hawke.
Maya
Hawke's got to be in it.
Okay, but is Maya Hawke Ali Sheedy? Or is she Mayor Winningham?
That could look. She could be any of them or all of them.
Todd says Kaylee Spaney. Kaylee Spaney can be Demi Moore, and Zendaya can be Ali Sheedy.
Ali Sheedy. Okay. Yeah.
Ooh, David likes Jacob Elordi. Jacob Elordi as Rob Lowe.
Oh, right. Of course. Yeah.
I'm sorry if it's
Although
loud. The gardeners just got here. It just got super loud.
I
all of a
think
sudden.
Austin Butler is going to be your Rob Lowe, but yeah, who's going to say
That
no
is
to
good
Jacob Elordi?
too.
There's
Everyone,
a lot of options here.
Timmy can be Andrew McCarthy.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Anyway, it's super loud. I don't know if you guys can hear the leaf blowers. Of course, the timing is not great, but it's a good opportunity to go anyway. Thank you all for being here. We got reviews coming of Thelma and the Bike Riders. So come and hang out with us later on today. Maybe it's just loud in my head and you guys can't hear it.
A teeny bit, but it's fine. Don't worry about it. Thank you all for being here. It's always lovely to see you. Subscribe if you haven't already. Yeah, if you come to any of my stuff in the next week, say hi. It would be great to see you.
We'd love it. All right, have a great rest of the day, guys. I'm going to try and end this gracefully in the noise. See you soon. Bye.
Bye.